powered by Reviting, streaming from the Reviting Digital Studio. It's the David Daily. Exploring frontier technology, artificial intelligence, quantum innovation, and the intersection of faith, funding, and the future. Here's your host, David Goki.
Welcome to another episode, that's right, of David Daily. We've got David Daily today, Tuesday, December 23rd, here at 11 a.m. Eastern. It's a pleasure to be with you. Remember, our show takes the format of current events, where we talk about current events every single day. And then, of course, we have quantum topics. And then, of course, we have third, which is our faith concepts and faith topics. I'm excited today to jump right into the current events portion. Today, we're highlighting 5 different pieces of current events. Very excited about that. The current events today, as you know, have been taking a funding and finance approach. We've had a very good season of finance and funding. And then, of course, the second portion of that show, right, is called faith, which we'll talk about today. And then finally, we have funding, we have faith. And then, of course, as you know, on this show, we're talking about funding, we're talking about faith, we're talking about founders. And that is the main focus of the funding and the faith and the future of technology. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for putting that on the screen here. We've got a production team behind the scenes with our partner Reviting, which is so great. You've seen that come up on your show every single day. We're very excited for that. Now, as we look to our very first current event, we're seeing that actually Wall Street, of all places, that in the United States, we see Wall Street actually opening higher in the Wall Street today as tech stocks are leading the rally. So Wall Street is where we see in New York City, the tech stocks are going big and strong. So we do like to take a look at Wall Street, specifically at New York Stock Exchange. You can search the New York Stock Exchange on any major platform, and it will show you exactly how those stocks are doing, how the stock prices are rallying. And in fact, you can even have that if you go to the New York Stock Exchange website, which I'll show you here in 1 second. You can actually see how the New York Stock Exchange is doing. We like to have that show up on our show every single day because you, our viewer, come first. And we can see that the New York Stock Exchange here has a ticker at the top of it as well. We're a huge fan of the New York Stock Exchange, and that is where we're at for today for that New York Stock Exchange. So that news title specifically, just I'm going to read it here, is really not, it's not just about the New York Stock Exchange rallying higher, but it's the tech stocks that were previously on a low last week were actually higher today. And the reason why that's significant is because last Friday, the markets closed, that's right, at a low. And so we actually saw that, we were seeing that happening in Wall Street as we saw that Wall Street stocks were actually a little bit lower. Now, what that means for investors, and again, this is not investment advice, but that just means that last week when we said buy the dip, that actually that was credible advice, it was credible perspective. We want you to buy the dip. And in fact, those climbed at the start of this holiday shortened week. Remember, markets close for New Year's and for Christmas Eve. So technology and AI related shares contributing to the gains. Not only did the New York Stock Exchange increase, but the NASDAQ and the Dow all also rose, according to Reuters Health, reflecting investor optimism. We have optimistic investors here. We're very excited for those optimistic investors who are counting on a strong performance from major tech names. All right, secondly, for our current events for the day, we have Alphabet, who is going to acquire clean energy infrastructure firm Intersect for $4.75 billion. That's right, with the B dollars. Alphabet announces that it will buy Intersect, which is a developer of renewable energy powered data centers. We talked about that earlier this month and this week, even talking about how hybrid, quantum, and clean energy is a huge part of this technology shift. It will support Google's expanding AI and cloud infrastructure, and this move underscores exactly how major tech companies are blending clean power and compute capacity. Absolutely love that. Seeing the comments flowing in, love that. Thank you, Peyton Sigler, saying that yes, absolutely. It wasn't exactly 6-7 billion, it was 4.75 again billion dollars. What an accomplishment. We see that being just a huge accomplishment for Alphabet. And then, of course, third in our news, we have Taiwan export orders showing the fastest growth in nearly 5 years. Can you actually believe that in 5 years we're seeing export growth happening in Taiwan? And we absolutely love that for many reasons. But for the main reason that we see actually that is coming primarily from their shipping, their location, and actually their export orders in November surged sharply year over year. We saw those numbers come in from Taiwan, specifically, primarily by global demand, right, for those AI and high performance computing technology chips, signaling a robust hardware demand. Despite geopolitical headwinds, we know that Taiwan has been a state, a country, an independent nation for quite some time. We're very thankful that we have all of our AI chips coming from quantum workloads, from AI workloads, from all the different workloads that we're seeing coming up, which is really incredible because, as you know, Taiwan is an ally to the United States, and we really do very much care about that. So, on this fourth topic, which I'm about to show you the image for that fourth topic here, we see that quantum business expansion and partnerships are actually strengthening with Rigetti. We're actually seeing that happen here. Rigetti is, again, one of the top two quantum chips that we're following. Specifically, the reason why we're following Rigetti is because they're right up there with IonQ as a quantum stock to follow, to take a second look at, because analyst reports are showing a renewed interest in quantum focused stocks. IonQ surged on bullish outlooks, while Rigetti remains a little bit volatile amid fresh 2026 roadmap projections. We know that that's going to be a very important aspect of the news. And the next news item is our fifth news item, which is showing us that startups and innovation are seeding new AI and photonics growth. That's exactly right. The FIT backed support for early stage startups are advancing phonetics, agri-tech, and AI driven drug discovery highlights continuing a seed stage innovation across adjacent tech sectors. So we're seeing this come alive today on the David Daily. Of course, we care about quantum workloads and quantum topics, which is a great transition into our next segment of the show, which is quantum topics. We're going to talk about quantum topics, and that is an important aspect of our show. So for quantum topics, that quantum topics section is all about teaching quantum to the nations, to the live audience, and leaning in there. So, our first quantum topic today is all about strategic quantum partnerships that are expanding infrastructure. What I mean by that is IBM and others are partnering with firms globally, primarily in Spain as well, to come together. And specifically, we're looking at a company called Kilimanjaro Quantum Tech and Oxygen Data Centers are announcing a strategic collaboration this week, even exploring a multimodal quantum computer integrated into commercial data centers. And we find that very much being a very innovative quantum concept as we're seeing actually innovative partners come together. That's exactly right, come together to put quantum data centers together that have a quantum focus and quantum connection with a focus on hybrid. Again, that's quantum and hybrid together for an infrastructure, expanded infrastructure. Secondly, in other news, we're actually seeing a new quantum venture fund aims to accelerate both Series A and Series B startups. So we're seeing that this new quantum AI fund, venture fund is very interesting for new startups. Series A actually is interesting, so that comes actually after a Series B startup, right? Sorry, before a Series B startup. So that's typically when you're in that 10 million to $100 million range in terms of capital intake. Sometimes it can be a little bit bigger, sometimes it can be a little bit smaller. But we're actually looking at a firm called Fur Gun Ventures, which is an awesome aspect. They're a venture capital firm focused on quantum technology, founded in 2025 this year, based in London, the UK. And we actually see that they're actually launching a $250 million investment fund to invest in both quantum and in tech, and they just announced a $70 million close. This is really exciting. Fur Gun Ventures, it's an AI startup out of London, and we really like that because we love to see venture firms on here, especially as we're focusing on faith and funding. And so we see Fur Gun Ventures, even just this year, posting that they've closed a seed round of, you guessed it, 70 million. That's with a million, $70 million in quantum funding. That's our quantum topic number 2. Now, our quantum topic number 3, just to kind of keep this segment going right along, is that we're seeing actually high level quantum workforce initiative is starting in none other than the great country of India. I know we've got a lot of India viewers on here. We love India. We've been to India many times corporately and personally. We love that India themselves are actually expanding and actually showcasing lots of opportunity in the Asian territory. We see that the chief minister is actually engaging students in a major quantum technology outreach event. We absolutely love that. And students are getting involved every single day in technology. We're seeing students, kids, their families all coming together. And he is the chief minister of India. He returned to the office in 2024, of course. He is the president of the TDP, which is the Telugu Desam Party. He's known for his forward tech innovations and, of course, all of the things that bring him to market. We love that he does have AI focus on quantum. He is very pro quantum. We're seeing this actually come to light in a beautiful way. And we see that actually India is very focused on quantum and quantum workloads, especially with students and children, which is a continuing education segment that we do care about a lot. That the future generations, folks, we're talking about the future generations of this world are coming to learn quantum and AI concepts. And I'm telling you what, even this year, as we reflect on 2025, it's been a phenomenal year. We're actually looking for more people who want to be part of that. And also just to showcase, that technology, even though it can be really frustrating or difficult, can actually be something that you lean into every day. It could be something that you keep part of your perspective. So we do love that very, very much. And we're here to support those types of movements, both locally here in the East Coast of the United States, streaming live every single day from New York time, but also we love to see the West Coast light up as we have a base in Seattle, Washington, where we see lots of tech startups, and of course, globally, if you're tuning in from London, from Singapore, because it's nighttime in Singapore, we love to see that as well. So in our fourth segment, we're actually seeing this company called QO Lab, pioneering quantum fabrication and unlocking computational possibilities. So our fourth topic here is our quantum business expansion and partnership strengthens, specifically in key partnerships globally, supporting scalable superconducting quantum hardware and international collaboration. By the way, if you are in the chat right now and you are wanting to stay connected, I would encourage you to type the word signal in the chat. You can put it in the chat, and we will have our team coming together to bring that together for you. And they'll send you an executive brief every single day as we're getting this piped up in the new year. An executive brief. Remember, type signal into the chat, and we will send that executive brief to you. And so if you're listening now or you're listening later, we will have that set up for you right now. I'm just making sure that my team's on that. But what's super interesting about this company, right, is that we actually are seeing in an unprecedented fashion, the fabrication piece also is very important, creating this super conducting quantum computers, right? It's a VC backed firm who is developing a utility scale quantum computing hardware with superconducting qubits. They were founded in 2022 in Los Angeles, and their leadership includes quantum pioneers like former Google Quantum AI team members. They're focused on moving qubit coherence, reliability, and scalability using 300 millimeter semiconductor processors. Folks, that is just so small, such a small amount of distance of space to create a superconductor. How awesome. And they're aiming to create systems capable of solving complex computational problems beyond classical computers. So we absolutely love that. And by the way, if you are watching here, we would love to get you involved in the show. Like I had said, if that's you, make sure that you go ahead and drop signal into the chat. Again, we want to see you putting signal into the chat as soon as you can. We're going to put that image up here so you can drop signal into the chat, getting involved, getting connected. Just type signal in the comments. We would love to see that pop off. We see that we've got Jesse typing signal in here. We've got seeing David saying, let's connect. Type the word signal in the chat. If you're on TikTok, make sure that you are doing that as well. Of course, we've got Instagram as well, who I think is not live yet. Now we're going to make them go live as well. So if you're looking for signals on your daily news segment, please do so by putting signal in the chat. Again, that's signal in the chat. Thank you so much for doing that. We really appreciate all of the people who are getting involved every day, getting these executive briefs that are now going out, folks, to over 500 people every single day. We're seeing live viewers even peaking at 20 to 50 each day. Right now, we've got a good set of folks joining us from Twitter, from X. We've got YouTube Live, LinkedIn, Facebook. We've got Twitch and Instagram and Kick, and of course, TikTok. We absolutely love that. So what we're going to do is move on to our fifth piece of quantum topics, which is simply that the quantum sector is seen as being where AI was just 5 years ago. So 5 years ago in 2020, GoTech.ai started as a purpose, a reason to educate, to really empower and entertain you as the viewer, to say, hey, look, we know that AI is brand new and we want to be able to do new things. We want to be able to showcase what AI was doing 5 years ago. And now that quantum is here, we want to be able to generate more quantum awareness and education, but also generate news and uh, updates and current events and bring the community together for the David Daily. So that is the purpose here of this particular show. And we just had two special guests this past week. If you haven't seen the show lately, go ahead and go to David J. Goki on YouTube. We're also on Spotify now, which you can now see on Apple Podcasts. We're going to be there as well. Just search for David Daily Show, The David Daily, and you will be able to find The David Daily on all major platforms here in the new year. We're very excited about that. And on top of that, we know that because AI is changing fast, we're going to be able to see that in all of the different areas of where you're focusing And we know that we want to be present on all platforms as well, alongside with you. And so we're going to do our part actually to bring that news to you. And we've got hot off the press a very fun image showcasing what quantum topics are about. We see a little newspaper icon here. It's so awesome, so fun. And the reason why we do stuff like this is so that we can be relevant and we can continue to show you the quantum news every single day. We love that. Okay, the final segment of our show is the faith portion where we get to talk about faith concepts. I'm very excited about this because faith is a huge aspect, faith and spirituality. We love talking about that. And today we're going to summarize it in just 5 main points. And I'm going to put those main points on here so that we can see them all together and we can kind of go through them together as a team, as a viewer audience here, because these faith concepts are so incredibly important, not only for you, but for anyone who would watch this later. As we think about AI topics, we're actually going to remove a couple images here so we can get some more space in our studio, because we've maxed out our studio space, but now we've got the studio space here. Good morning, Carrie. Good to see you here. So basically what we have here is our AI and faith concepts. And the first one is discernment over acceleration. Discernment over acceleration. The reason why we like discernment over acceleration is, look, we can do anything fast, but what we can't do is we can't discern quickly, because discernment takes time, it takes energy, right? And what even is discernment? Right? Discernment is, it's that spirit inside of you speaking, right? Where you know that maybe you had done wrong or you needed to make a decision. The discernment of the spirit comes in and says, hey, David, hey, listener, you just make that role personal, put your name in there and say, maybe at some point we would have a little bit more discernment. And faith leaders are emphasizing that movement quickly in AI capabilities, because we still need humans for discernment, turns out, right? Especially when it comes to ethical and moral considerations. Of course, we've got the trolley dilemma, which is an example of that. They must be balanced with reflection on ethical consequences and long-term human well-being. I absolutely love that, just because we do need to have discernment in the space of human dignity. We see that that is a very important aspect of the life that we live in. And human dignity is something that is challenging, I think, for most people to think about. It is something that I would say over the years has maybe been deprioritized. Human dignity, we see human atrocities. Even the Pope announced, when the new Pope came out, he was saying, oh yeah, we think that human dignity is a very important aspect of what it means to even be part of a religion. And so as a result, we do see that coming into to participation. We care about that as an organization. We care about what it means to be in the world of discernment over acceleration. We got a fun little image here I'm going to pop up here for discernment over acceleration here. You can actually see this is showing up very nice. And you can see that even with AI, we're able to show that faith leaders must choose wisely and not move quickly. Again, we must choose wisely and not just move quickly. And that's an important aspect of this particular view here, is that we consider the ethical consequences and we focus on long-term health well-being. Again, we focus on long-term consequences and well-being. And the reason why I like this so much, for many reasons, is because it is important to consider the well-being of your fellow humans and your fellow people, especially when AI will really want to encourage you to do that too quickly, right? When AI and quantum says go a million miles a second, sometimes it's okay to just slow down, take a deep breath, get some mindfulness, and be fully present, not only just with yourself, but with people around you. and to know that you too can have a really big part in that. Okay, we're going to remove this ticker so we can get some more intentional time here. The second topic is really about how do we share moral ground across traditions? This is another big one where we want to talk about how do we share moral ground across traditions. And the way we think about that is we've got multiple traditions occurring every single day. Of course, we want to be able to see those traditions come alive. And the way that we have those traditions come alive is allowing and enabling Christians, Jews, Muslims, Buddhists, and Hindu voices to continue to find common ground around human dignity, compassion, and accountability, especially in how technologies are developed and utilized. And we know that this is a very important aspect to the way that we show up, especially at AI and faith, but also many people who would consider themselves to be a faith leader, they'd want to actually be able to integrate this directly with who they are as people, and also to showcase that across different societies as well. We really appreciate that people are thinking about this and that they're generating how to guide ethical and shared moral ground across these spiritual playgrounds, if you will. And so I'm going to just showcase an image there for you, just so you can see what that looks like. So we actually can see that, yeah, there is actually a grounding here for those traditions, whether it's human dignity, that's definitely non-negotiable. We know that compassion is really an important aspect that comes in over pure efficiency, accountability, not only for creators, but also for deployers. We think that that's very important as well. And then, of course, we can see here technology in service and of people, right? Because people are the reason for the service. And of course, technology limits on harm and exploitation. This is a beautiful view of what that can look like if you're wanting to share moral ground across traditions. We're talking about religious traditions here, the Jew, the Christian, the Buddhist, the Hindu, and the Muslim. Very important concept here. And then, of course, that shared moral ground continues to showcase those voices across each of these belief systems. Now, we can get into all of the different religions, but we won't do that today. We'll save that for later. I know you're just dying to do that, but we will showcase that for you later. We know that we're going to be able to see lots of different things come up for that in the future. So as we move along to our fourth topic, I believe our fourth topic is about ethics as leadership. So we actually see ethics as leadership showing up as a foundation, right? This means that faith inspired frameworks are actually doing so to position ethical clarity as an essential infrastructure piece in organizational governance regarding technology and adoption, not as an add on. The reason why this concept is so important is simply because we want to see those pieces come together where AI is actually supporting stewardship. It's actually a leadership framework, and that faith is actually inspired as a leadership foundation. We call this the ethics as infrastructure. So we talk about ethics as infrastructure here on this show. It's important to think about ethics as infrastructure. We know that ethics as an infrastructure capability showcases what it actually means to be ethical. And we can see that here in this simple diagram, where we can actually see that, yeah, as a leader in an AI organization, you can bring transparency, governance, responsibility, and trust in faith governance that governs technology. This is a graphic we put together for you that says faith inspired frameworks position, that's right, position ethical clarity as essential infrastructure in organizational governance and technology adoption, not as an add-on. I think that piece, not as an add-on, is very important, especially as we talk about ethics as a leadership foundation. Very important to have ethics as a leadership foundation, not just a bolt-on topic. This is very important for all organizations, not just technology, but all organizations, because we know that ethics, especially around quantum, have not even begun to become created. So we want to be able to create ethics as a leadership foundation for quantum. I hope someone out there is listening to me, the sound of my voice. We need to see ethics as infrastructure for quantum technologies. If you don't hear me, if you're listening to me, listen to this first. We need ethics as infrastructure for quantum technology today. And that's one part of my missions and my goals, to bring in those foundational elements of transparency and governance into the workplace, into the nonprofit, into the ministry, so that if you're listening today on Tuesday, the 23rd, can't believe 23 episodes going strong of the podcast, and the daily show will bring that together. And I think that this image right here that I created is really, it's really a good image to showcase what it means to even be part of a faith organization, to have funding part of it, to be fully embedded into all of the things. We are showcasing this image here, which has a big heart in the center. So we have a very centered, passionate perspective here. Of course, we've got the faith religions of the world, as well as technology. You can see robotics and neurobiology involved here, as well as the picture of the dove and the artwork. These concepts are incredibly important. And we know that there will be many people who will need to hear this message for years to come. And that's one of the reasons why we're investing in this platform to begin with, is that we know that there will be many people who will need to hear this, who will need to see this. And we know that there's going to be a big movement, actually, of people who are focusing on quantum. And I think that's an important aspect of this daily show, is that you get to have familiarity with quantum concepts and quantum importance and priorities from a funding perspective, from a faith point of view, and of course from a frontier technology point of view. And it looks like we've got some folks commenting, which is awesome. I'm just going to say this: thank you for being here and being part of the show. This is really a wonderful, beautiful show. Glad that you are here to enjoy it. We have a fifth concept, which is coming up strong, which I'll showcase here shortly. But just want to take a quick break for those people who are, in fact, tuning in. Maybe you're tuning in later. Maybe this is something that you'll see later. But when you see this content, we want it to make sense for you. We want it to be something that you really admire and appreciate, but also something you can apply later that's timeless. So as we go into our fifth topic here, and final quantum concept, it is precisely that of stewardship. It is a beautiful stewardship view. It is actually saying that AI, by design, and quantum can and should support stewardship and not authority. Again, that's stewardship, not authority. This idea that even across belief systems, the consequences and the consensus remains that emerging technology should actually assist human judgment and moral decision making. So, not replace, but support the stewardship of good, faith driven decisions in quantum. And this is why AI supports stewardship, not authority. Again, that's stewardship and not authority. This is a huge concept in the faith world, this idea of stewardship, of being a good steward of your finances, of course, being a good steward of your technology. But we also know that you want to be a good steward of your technology and the support that it brings to the world. So we know that that's an important aspect of it. We're very grateful for that. And that, my friends, rounds up the topics for the day, folks. We've got so many good topics, lots of comments. We've still got lots of folks watching, which is incredible. We absolutely love that. So just to recap today, we talked about a lot on funding, faith, and future. We talked a lot about that here on the David Daily Show, which is so awesome. So good to have you. If you want to get on the post show, come join me on TikTok. TikTok is the platform where I do my post show for the rest of the hour. And if you're a guest, you get to be on the show as well in the green room post show. So thank you to the production team. Thank you to the folks who are involved with this. I just want to say happy Christmas Eve, because tomorrow is Christmas Eve. So it's the night before Christmas Eve. So the Eve's Eve, if you will. And folks, it's been a wonderful pleasure. I'm very grateful for all that you are doing. And I'm getting ready to hit the outro video. But if I don't talk to you for the rest of today, thank you for tuning in. Like this video right now. Press the like button below. Hit that subscribe. We want to see you subscribe to the love, and then of course comment and share this with a family member, a friend, a colleague, someone who needs this show in their life. And if you're also interested in live streaming yourself, you too can go to revenuing.com, where you can check out all of the services and actually launch your own podcast. We would love to see you on the podcast show. We actually have a lot of opportunities to get involved with the show here. And in fact, if you're interested in that, I'm just going to show that on screen here very quickly so that you know exactly where to go here at the end of the show. Just go to revenuing.com. Right here, you can see the services right here. It's very easy. We do lots of amazing pieces. We have flexible prices to generate leads. Of course, we have platinum packages for influencers and businesses. If you're a business, feel free to reach out to myself or anyone on the team here, Revenuing Services in Brand Building. Click on Work with Revenuing. Fill out this form on the right-hand side. It'd be so easy to fill out. You'll be able to see that come across your screen today at the very bottom. We're gonna showcase that actually. This URL, just go to revenuing.com/contact and fill out this form. We'd love to hear from you. And if this is your first time watching, thank you for joining. It's been a wonderful show. Today took a long form format. We've been live for almost 37 minutes, which is incredible. We covered 15 major topics. Of course, we had Wall Street opening up strong. We had the Alphabet acquiring a company for $4.75 billion. Taiwan, of course, was exporting lots of orders for AI chips on the ocean. We've got quantum stocks and analysts buzzing on IonQ, a little hedge on Rigetti. Fifth, we have startups and innovation seeding new AI and photonics growth stories. Very exciting. Then we moved over to quantum topics, and we talked about quantum topics for a bit. We talked about the strategic quantum partnerships that are starting. We talked about new quantum venture funnel amid Series A and Series B startups, high-level quantum workforce initiative in India, big movement in India. Of course, quantum business expansion and partnerships are strengthening. We saw that in the UK as well. We're also seeing the quantum sector is seen as where AI was 5 years ago. Of course, we have faith topics just to cap that. Discernment over acceleration. Don't move quickly, move with discernment. Secondly, we had shared moral ground across traditions, whether you're Jewish, Christian, Buddhist, Hindu, or Muslim, or other. Lots of shared moral grounds across traditions. We see that happening. And then, of course, we see many other faith topics as well in the topics section. Specifically, we're seeing shared moral ground, as I mentioned. Work is being reshaped with purpose enduring through work. Of course, we have ethics as infrastructure for leaders. And then, of course, AI supporting stewardship, not authority. And that leads me to my final segment, which is an anchor segment called Beyond the Bag, where I go into my fun full-time travel bag, pick out something for you today. And today, it is a pair of sunglasses. Now, you're probably asking me, David, what designer brand are your sunglasses? These are not designer brand, for the record. They are just a pair of normal glasses. And when I put my glasses and my hat on, I'm ready to go into the sun. So that's why I have my sunglasses, and I always have a pair of glasses, whether it's sunglasses or like these ones, or some HG Insights glasses where I get my blue light filter because I am looking at screens all day long, or I have some custom glasses from Southbound, which is happening April 16th, 2026. Southbound has been announced. So if you're a HubSpotter watching the show or you want to go to Southbound 2026, maybe we will see you in Georgia ATL. First date announced for 2026. And it is a Southern inspired conference for HubSpotters in ATL. You can find out all about it online. Get your reservation in. Can't wait to see you there. And that, my friends, closes down the live stream. We've got a ton more comments. Remember, type in the comment signal if you're wanting to get the signal of all of the show episode and notes. And on that, we're going to close it out, folks. It's great to have you on the stream. Please tune in tomorrow. Take action. Tune in tomorrow on the David Daily Morning Show, a wonderful show bringing you current events, quantum topics, and faith topics. And on that note, we're signing out.